Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Fergusson. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing just fine myself, man. It's this is an interesting week to be a Blizzard fan, for reasons that don't pertain to Mothership Blizzard.
That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna talk about that stuff a little bit.
We are.
The show's gonna be, we've had two big guests in a row. We were doing some art talk. We went straight into deep dive strategy with Not Paradox. So welcome to the personal show. We're all gonna sit down, inside the actor studio, inside the Into the Nexus studio, into the studio Nexus.
We're going to do our bread and butter. It's going to be the Garrett and Kyle Bromance Hour, which is what everyone subscribed to in the first place when they added this to their podcast feed. Or it was one of those episodes I wasn't on with Jay Howe, and you're like, this show is great, and then I came back, and you're like, oh, shoot. I thought it was better than it actually was.
Or maybe it could have been Garrett and Dung Train. You're like, who's this Kyle guy? So
that was a long time ago. That was a very long time ago.
It's about the video game. But I want to lead with you. Because you had a big 5-stack experience this week. You suck it out. You went for it. You enjoyed the 5-stack, so you wanted more.
Yes, I enjoyed your 5-stack. No shade at anyone, by the way. Everyone I played with this week, great. Everyone putting their best in, putting their heart into it. But yeah, so last week, Kyle, I did I had just like a mini group night. It was like 3 of us. It was me and our good buddy Deribo, our good friend Twammy. We all happened to be on at the same time, and I've been kind of talking to Deribo. I'm like, I think I want to do like a team night on Monday nights. I think that's the thing I want to do. And he's like, I'm free. Just let me know. So it's pretty casual right now. This isn't a call for some roster. I'm not signing up for NGS. This is not happening. Okay, I don't have time. But I'm having a good time. Had a really good time when I subbed with you, and so I got the itch. And so last week, played with Twammy, played with Deribo. We ended 5-1. Like, it was one of the smoothest nights of Storm League I've ever had in Heroes of the Storm. And so this past Monday, do it again. So I went over to our patron Discord, and I was like, hey, anyone here, platter higher, want to get up to some 5-stack? And we're looking for someone who can maybe tank and switch between tank or damage or whatever. And grabbed a couple people, went in, and it was a harder night, man. It was a harder night. I mean, we still picked up some wins, but the losses were... they were tough losses, and I think we got matched against the same 5-stack in 3 separate games, and we lost them every single time.
Oh, that's always tough.
Yeah. Like, they had very well refined wombo combo cheese, and 3 of us had only all played together once, and the other 2 of us had never played together before. So he's like, me and Deribo, we played together a decent amount. We have a good idea of like what picks of ours gel well together, and that's where any synergy begins and ends with this group of players. And so I basically learned the lesson that you've been learning over the past couple of weeks, right? Because how long you been doing this for now? It's I guess it's been longer. It's been months for you. But I remember when you first started doing your practice nights with your 5-stacks, getting ready for league play, that you were saying, hey, if anyone thinks that we're gaming the system by grouping up, you should see how much my rating went down. And that's, the feel. That's the experience we more or less had this week. But yeah, it's, I think we ended up going 2 and 3, if I remember correctly, or maybe 2 and 4. Might have been 2 and 4. But so we did pick up a couple wins, but it was rough. And yeah, going in as a 5-stack without kind of a predetermined plan about who's picking what and any potential combos that 5 of you can actually work together towards, it's very difficult to make a dent against other 5-stacks. And I mean, you and I see this with our patron nights sometimes, because we always go in as a 5-stack into unranked. But that's a little more, it's unranked, right? It's there's still a chance of, if you call tails, of it coming up tails. It's because it's not as like you're running into like super diehard, try hard 5-stacks.
Yeah, right. Because anyone who thinks they have it down is going to be in ranked points, getting some ranked points for themselves.
Exactly. Or I don't know, like they're just degenerate chokeall drafters, but that's all right. Those exist, and every now and then they need to remind you that they exist.
Right. They need an outlet. Unrank is kind of where they get that out of their system before they have to go back to ETC Val or whatever the other version of the Cho'Gall is. You're not wrong. It's a fascinating issue with the rank system, of course, because if you say, I got 2 masters solo, that was a very, very different experience than a 5-stack. And if you 5-stack, you have 5 stacks you're fighting or higher MMR people. The biggest difference, I think, when you get above plat there is that the macro, the economy, the camp management, the lane stuff, the rotates, all don't matter as much anymore. Like when we end up, because we got Kai berries and gold, we got Slice and plat, then we have Breakwood, who's Diamond Masters, usually Masters. And so we end up sometimes in these platty games. And there we're great. We can out macro, we can out strategy, we can time things well. But the second it gets to a Diamond 5-stack, it's all just about you're deleted. It's about Diablo not using a wall, but charging you, picking you up, and then a Stukov hand goes under it, and you're just dead. And you go, oh man, we need to learn a wombo combo. That's what my team needs. And it ain't easy. It's way more easy to coordinate a bunch of random people into like doing a properly timed camp or all meeting for an objective, and that enemy team doesn't even go to the objective as a full 5-stack. So you win and you get a pick and it snowballs and you win, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly kind of the experience I was having. So shout out to Storm and Torian, by the way, the other two that completed the 5-stack on Monday night. We had a good time playing with those guys. And I want to keep plinking away at it, man. I want to figure it out. So
yeah,
really, ETC was just giving us hell all night, and I think on at least 3 separate occasions I was like, we just need Kyle's ETC in here, so we don't need to worry about the ETC.
Boy, that's a story. I've got a lot of stories this week, man.
Okay. Man,
ETC
this sounds. I sense baggage in the tone of your voice.
Oh, dude, I have team baggage and I've got personal baggage. It is Here's the Storm is a wild game right now. We were doing Heroes Lounge, and we had Coffee, who is an Alarak and Kel'Thuzad main. I did figure out through conversations, and I'll explain that a little bit later, but people use the Heroes Lounge or NGS website to look up each other. So they get their bans from there, because you can't really go like going on their Heroes profile or their Hotslogs account, because you might get, people might see me playing a bunch of Malfurion or something like that, and you're not going to ban my Malfurion. I'm not going to do that in the organized play environment. But we've started getting enough games in that system in those websites that first 2 bans are just Alarak, Kel'Thuzad, knocking out Coffee completely. And he does a good Grey main. He does a good Zeratul. He's got other things. But we do a double rotate Bruiser. Because we stack on top of Coffee and stack him and go, and that's our snowball. That's our entire strategy. So we've been getting just drafted out, and we now have enough games in there that everybody knows we love Dragonshire and Towers of Doom. So those two, you get 2 map bans, those are now out. So my team has reached a point in Heroes Lounge where there's data on us, and we're not getting to play anything we're good at. So that's one issue.
Okay, yeah, that's something I don't think most players are used to dealing with. Yeah. Unless you're like a one trick. Oh my god, dude, we ran into a Zeratul one trick this week. Right? I have a notepad now, and this player's name is on it.
There you go. Those happen. But I ran into a Tracer main. Sadly, their name was super generic, so I'll never see them again or know it's them again. But yeah, luckily, hopefully that person had a nice, unique name for you to write down and stalk around.
Yeah, it's memorable.
We got an NGS, and things are crazy more serious than Heroes Lounge. And we got destroyed. We have been destroyed 2 games in a row. I will toot my own horn that since I took over shot calling, we didn't lose a single match or series until this week started. But Coffee's not on that team. We're waiting for a replacement player. And as of today, my assassin got their accounts suspended for, I think, maybe getting a little heated in a quick match. Oh, so we are
seriously. Wait, they're what is a temporary ban? Would be the
temporary ban of 1 month.
The technical term. Oh my lord, Kyle.
So NGS has a lot of Smurf protection. to make sure that nothing gets, too weird or cheaty.
Yeah,
So
you were
can
telling me about
only
this
play
before
on
the
your
show,
main
right?
account.
Like if players are unfamiliar, like you can't play an NGS on a Smurf account.
Right. Which is great. Except for in the situation where we've now lost our assassin player. So we spent 3 months training up basically Kel'Thuzad Alarak comps back to back to back.
All right,
we lost that guy. He's being replaced.
Anyone
And
in chat room from your stream? Anyone? Hey, is Kyle telling the truth? Is it Kyle that got banned? Is that the problem?
I'm good.
Do you need to admit something? Did you have a rough time and you unloaded on someone?
Nope. I went and stacked blocks with my son. It was delightful. I've got lots of great opportunities to calm down in my house.
Okay, I'm got my eye on you, Kyle. I think you might be hiding something.
No, I'm good. But we are now out our two primary assassins with a game tonight, and we're playing with a sub and our new player who is just showing up for the first time, who is now going to be the permanent. So I'm expecting we're going to get owned for an extended period of time while we figure this out.
I bet you're loving the advice in live chat on a team with 2 new players.
Oh, during the games and stuff, it's rough. It's rough. Next week on the YouTube for Heroes Heart, there's going to be a how to draft in bronze video where I basically say you need to ignore the statement, if everyone was better, I wouldn't have to work so hard.
Yeah,
but that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes.
Well, man. Yeah, no, I'm getting to like there's just nothing worse than unsolicited advice when you're kind of starting anew again, right? It's just like, so, I mean, I don't know. I could imagine that being.
No, my ego is strewn on the floor.
Oh,
I have gotten the crap beat out of me this week, man.
Me too, man. Well, we're two peas in a bruised ego pod.
It's they're so kind. I have to lead with that. They're so giving. These NGS teams have been through so much. They've had to learn so many difficult lessons, and they just want to save you the heartache. And they're so friendly. But sometimes you take Laws of Hope into Ana, not really concerned that the healing of Laws of Hope is going to be denied by a grenade. And the messages flow out from them about how you're not comboing correctly with your sub character, that you've never played with their Mephisto before, except for, and like I got a timestamp list, and it is so damn useful. It is kind. It is efficient. But man,
that's what I was getting at. Like I could, like I'm trying to imagine like the critiques I suffered senior year of art college. If I had gotten those first week of freshman year, like why? It's not at this point. This is unhelpful. I'm learning. We're starting from the ground up. But
it's intense.
Some people don't know that. That's just I can picture it in my mind, and I have a feeling you're handling it better than I would.
But it's all so important stuff, like warding. Like 90% of the tank's job is sitting in bushes, not soaking. That's what you learn in Storm League, but keeping an eye out for things, denying area. It's a whole different ball game. But when so much is going wrong in the background, or this is probably not the right word, but when we're struggling to land certain fundamentals, me sitting in a bush feels like the most useless thing I could do for that team, but it's actually the most useful. So there's these troubles in my head about this.
Yeah.
On top of this, I've been having a tough time in Storm League. It's the best comparison I can make is Darkest Dungeon, but you don't play that, so let me see if I can think of something else. You think of any video game, or even World of Warcraft maybe, where you have to grind a key to get into something.
Okay.
And grinding that key, and it's spent when you go in, right? So you grind this key, you open the door to the dungeon thing, and you just get your butt beat back out of there, and you're like, wow. What a waste of a key. And then I'm gonna go do all my dailies again, and this daily stuff is really easy. I can do this. I could beat this with my eyes closed. That's fine. And then you get back through the door and you get your butt beat again. And that's what Storm League is like right now. I went from, where I was doing the bruiser thing, it wasn't working out. We were practicing on Storm League. So I went from Plat 1 to Diamond 1 extremely fast this season. Just picking whatever the heck I wanted. Just Diablo first pick, Mal'Ganis because I want to, ETC because I'm kind of working on it. Is this a May game? Maybe. I'm not the best, but let's see what happens.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it's just a straight beautiful shot to Diamond 1. And right now it just smacks you across the face. Everybody's counter picking you, counter drafting you. Has all these crazy plays. Everyone's getting super tilted because you never land a mosh that hits 5 people. And then you go back down to Diamond 3 where it gets super easy again, and then you fly back up. And it's just this long grind where I finally get one game with really good people. And then I'm out of there. Serious mode. With a game that cost me a lot of points. Now I got to do 2 games for that one game. And it's tough to learn these lessons. And I wish I could just hang out there for a little bit. Like I could stall my account in Diamond 1 and just ruin people's games. I probably don't deserve to be there because I'm learning a lot right now. I got to figure some things out. But one of the things I do have to figure out, Garrett, is you're right. Mal'Ganis, he's not that great. He can dumpster a bunch of disorganized folk, but he doesn't have the pick potential.
I don't love him, as you know, but that's all right. That's all right. You know what I'm gonna do, Kyle? I'm gonna sit here and go, I told you so. I'm gonna dump on you, you fool. What were you think? No, that'd be so mean.
How dare you be passionate about a hero regardless of their kit?
No, and I frankly I don't have my only real experience with a Mal'Ganis on my team is with you. It's not something I see picked where I'm playing. So it's anecdotal at best. But yeah, man, similar thoughts, similar experiences myself. My Sonya really failed me this week. Drafted Gazelle on purpose, started out good, fell on its face late game. So I'm kind of having one of those soul searching moments again. I think I really need to work on my Zool because there were at least 2 cases this week where I'm like, oh, that would have been a great pick, but I'm not really practiced up on them.
Yeah.
So I think that's next. But at the same time, it's just I feel like I know enough solo laners. Do you ever get to that point where you're like, do you have this with tanks? Where you're like, for the love of God, I know enough freaking tanks. Do I really need to go learn another one? That's how I feel about solo laners right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tank squeezing in NGS naturally. So my Diablo gets banned very, very early on. It is the most banned hero against our team, and I'm like, ooh, how flattering. But yeah, ETC is hotly contested because every Storm League game, at least somebody gets a chance at ETC. No one's going to ban it. Someone's going to pick it, and it's usually me, so we don't have to fight it. But that's not available at all. That is hotly contested. I fought an Anubarak last night who, on Tomb of the Spider Queen, speaking of warding and, just hid. Always in a bush. Not like a Genki sort of thing, just always in a bush. Saw you turning in, would walk out, fart out a little beetle, and then walk away. And you're not a DPS. I'm like a tank trying to drop off 30 gems. And this one beetle takes me half an hour to kill. So every time I tried to turn in, wherever we were, this Anubarak would be dropping off one beetle. It's like, oh my God, that's how you play Anubarak. and then someone else like an Orphea or the Stukov would land a slow or start a combo, and then from halfway across the map, here comes Anubarak underground and pops you up and stuns you and you're dead. So I learned how to play Anubarak in that situation. That's awesome, and that was super frustrating.
A more effective Zagara than Zagara.
There you go, right? The Zagara who lived. The Zagara who lived.
Goodness, man. Oh, but that's fun.
I can share with you guys a little bit, what the sort of high end talks about when they talk about tanks. It's nice to know that May's hard. Everyone kind of admits that. May is just hard. You can run, there are teams, and I really like her with things like Uther or, Lily's, people who are going to kind of take care of themselves. If everyone on your team is Raynor or somebody, the Sonias have a lot of self-heal. If it's just chaos out there and it doesn't really matter if you land perfect combos, May's all right in Storm League. But otherwise, she's really easy to dodge. And if you with the Blizzard at all, kind of like ETC, but without the zoning backup of a second zone, as it were, with the face melt, they're just going to be all on you. So it's really nice to know, May, it's okay if you suck. But the main tanks are basically Diablo, ETC, and Garrosh. And Johanna is situational. And that's it. And then you have things that you pick because people ban all the tanks. And that's where I got to figure out. And that's where I'm definitely putting my homework right now.
We're going to talk about one of those potential choices much later in the show.
Well, let's talk about him now.
You want to have the Murden talk?
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's have the Murden talk.
But Murden is everywhere right now, and it's fascinating. It's hard to say what happened. In my experience, this isn't true in the high end. I asked around a little bit, and I was like, what's with all... Every time I pick an ETC, I see a Murden on the enemy side. And in my experience, it's fabulous. Murden has the ability to jump great distances and avoid getting isolated by the face melt. He has the range on Stormbolt to interrupt the ETC in a lot of situations, a lot like ETC. You can see the Diablo kind of angling around trying to get that angle, and one little stun, one big stun actually, with a lot of damage on it too, is going to knock out that entire engage, and then you're free to move around. So I'm seeing Murden taken as an ETC counter. That's not the case in high leagues. That is a false positive on my part. But Murden does either way seem to be getting really, really hot right now.
Yeah, I've seen him taken quite a bit as well, and not necessarily as an ETC counter. I'll need to keep a closer eye on that and see if I'm seeing a correlation there. But I saw quite a bit of Murdens in our games this week, and they're rough. They're difficult to deal with. And then you mentioned you wanted to talk about it on the show, so I was like, well, it's been a long time since I tried Murden. I figured I'd just go try some Murden in a quick match, and it's going really well. I don't even remember the last time I tried this hero. And it just kind of works out. Is where it seems to be landing for me.
Yeah, he has some serious delete potential, and when it comes to this patch and what's happening with him, it seems like the perfect time to learn Murden, because the number one talent for him at 4 in terms of win rate. Now we got to avoid the high end, conversations here a little bit, but Sledgehammer, which gives you that 350% bonus damage to non-heroic targets, that doesn't really matter too much here. It's about hitting an enemy hero grants additional stacks of baseline quest. So if you kind of suck at Murden, or you're like me, who's kind of bummed out by the fact that Murden has to play silly for the first 10 minutes of the game, Sledgehammer can really help you out. And kind of like we go through like Ragnaros Blast Wave metas, and it's like, everybody who's interested, go learn Ragnaros. The easy build is viable for a little bit. This is the time to be learning Murden.
Yeah. Sledge. I mean, there's good build diversity at 4, or talent diversity at 4. When you look over at Hotslogs, they're all 3 are almost neck and neck, but Sledgehammer does eke it out in win rate and in popularity. And like, God, I feel like you're dancing around saying it. It feels like the most obvious crutch in the world. But damn it, if it just doesn't get results. It's just like, even if you're landing your storm bolts, it just gets the quest done so freaking quickly.
Well, and the Pierce. Then you're into Pierce Town, and now you're doing way more than you were. You can knock out a Siege Giant camp with that Pierce really quickly. You're probably right now going something like Bronzebeard's Rage, so you have a little bit of late game lane clear. It's a good package. Particularly for the chaos of Storm League. And I think we'll continue to see it go up while Johanna is isolated in this really weird place.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and weirdly enough, I'm also enjoying it. I can't believe I'm enjoying playing Murden, but I think I'm going to actually log a few more games with them.
Well, I do want to share some information I've learned this week about Zool for you, because I know you were getting excited about him. He is countered by D.Va at the moment.
Well, D.Va, still haven't seen her make it through a single draft.
She gets around, sadly. Everyone kind of wants to play the gamble and see if she can get her. It's not crazy. She's up 8.7%, which is plenty, of course. That's just taking in like the last month. If we look at current patch, we're looking at 14% increase, but it's still lower than Probius and Cho'Gall and Lost Vikings. So it's not like super oppressive. It's just the best normal hero there is right now.
Gotcha.
And the thing you do, you got your D.Va, and you can reduce lane damage, or hero damage. So he's trying to clear a lane, and you just go, nah, just kidding. Here's the zone. You know, and then you get hit, and then you get a bomb ready, and then you cast your bomb, and Zool, who has to commit, can't commit, runs around in circles with a blue build, not healing, not doing anything, and probably his team dies or he dies.
Makes a lot of sense. I also, in that 5-stack we ran into, I want to say 3 times, we started restricting their picks, and then we ended up in a game against them where they took a double soak Zool, and oh my god, man. It's been a while, but for a while there, I had a lot of experience solo laning against Zool on my Sonya. It was delightful. Yeah. It's so easy. It's just like, oh, you're making more things? Wonderful. I get more healing. Thank you. But when all the Zool cares about is clearing the lane and moving to the next lane, I can't keep up.
Yeah, your goal there is like to out team fight him. If we kind of think of a Towers of Doom sort of scenario where he is just go and go and go, and you report so swiftly and so efficiently, you get a kill, and then you're back to your job. But you start that snowball in those teams, and then the bottom wins and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that's something we're having trouble right now as a team. We were doing Zool or another double soaker in these Heroes Lounge matches and just wrecking it in the 4-man lane. And now that they're like, now we're at a level where it's like, oh, my Sonya, my Diva, my individual pick counters Zool. You guys need to watch out early picking your bruiser. I'm like, well, yeah, but until this point, it was a big win. We got our Zool first pick, which is a horrible thing to do, on paper, because you shouldn't pick your solo laner. You need to see what's happening in the comps and whatnot. But in certain leagues, you can just pick your, like I was talking about earlier, where I'm just first picking Diablo because who cares? What's going to stop me in Diamond 4?
Yeah, there's the ideal world and there's the world we live in, right? Like, there's just some realistic scenarios where that's fine and what you're going to do. No one else is showing. What are you going to do, Kyle? You're not going to pick that Zool?
I know, right? I do. I feel like I have to get a little cheesy. We basically, as a team, are going to go into custom games, line up a bunch of dummies, be like, Deckard, sleep. Now you, Ring of Frost. Now me, APOC. We did it. Yay. Okay, do it again. And do it again. Nobody wake up anybody from the Deckards. Like, I think we dream as video gamers that we can be a bit more anime about it. Like, all we got to do is get mad and the sparks will fly from our eyeballs and we'll level up. But we got to do some replay reviews, which, I don't play this card often, but as a dad, I don't want to watch a replay. I want to play the video game. And that's something I need to get over. That's something I'm struggling with, because every time we try to do something that's not play, I'm like, I mean, I'm here to play. Why don't we play the video game?
I feel that. Well, we're back in school, I guess, Kyle. It's time to learn again.
Yeah, it is. And that's going to be fun and interesting. And I'm curious to see where I end up.
You're left humbling out of that lineup of modifiers.
Humbling? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all suck.
Indeed. Well, before we move on with the show, we do want to thank our patrons for supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like Into the Nexus, if you like the Heroes of the Storm coverage that Kyle and I are bringing you, the Patreon is the best way to support us, and every little bit helps. So it's completely opt-in. It's completely up to you. Whatever works for you works for us. So go check it out. Get access to our Discord. Sign up for our monthly patron night games. As a matter of fact, we're doing one next Thursday, Kyle, on October 1st. Gonna play some Heroes of the Storm with the patrons. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Gonna be a good time. And so go check it out, patreon.com/ITN. And we have a new patron this week, Kyle. And I'm going to do my best not to butcher your name, but thank you very much. Francois Xavier Latendres, which I'm sure I'm not getting that last name correct, but whatever. Francois, thank you very much for the support. We really appreciate it. Check it out, patreon.com/ITN. And now, Kyle, let's talk about this week's news.
We're on, boys! Let's liven up this place!
The moment is upon us.
Yes, I'd mana tap that.
Kyle, we talk about things. We talk about certain games that sequels would just be unwise to. World of Warcraft probably shouldn't do World of Warcraft 2. It didn't work out very well for EverQuest. Heroes of the Storm 2, that'd be weird. I mean, I'd be down for a super exciting, even prettier looking version of Heroes of the Storm, but it'd be weird and probably not the best, especially with how many skins we've collected. But I gotta say, Kyle, I didn't think they would ever make a sequel to Blizzard Entertainment.
I had no idea where you were going with it. Well done.
Freaking Mike Morhaime is back. Has awoken like the nicest, most approachable Cthulhu you've ever known. And has a new studio. Well, has like a new umbrella studio encompassing 2 smaller studios. Mike Morhaime has taken, as I explained it on Angry Chicken last night, everyone from Blizzard that you know of that didn't go to Second Dinner with Ben Brode and started a new studio.
Can't blame him.
Yeah. It's called Dreamhaven, and it's then broken down into 2 sub-studios, Moonshot and Secret Door. And, dude, have you looked at the roster of developers?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, we got to wait 2 years. It's going to be a long wait to see what the heck they're doing.
We don't even know if it could be longer, it could be shorter. We don't know. They haven't said. We have no idea when we're going to see anything. I mean, that's like an assumption.
Yeah.
But, again, the names. Are you aware of who is over on Moonshot, Kyle? A man,
rattle them off.
A man we've talked about many, many times here on this podcast because this man had a lot to do with Heroes of the Storm. Dustin Browder, who we know exited Blizzard shortly after it was leaked that a StarCraft shooter was not only in development but canceled and under Browder's watch. Browder left Blizzard, didn't say where he was going, what he was doing, has popped up alongside Ben Thompson, the previous lead artist on Hearthstone, Derek Sakamoto, lead UI designer on Hearthstone, Jason Chase, just kind of Blizzard savant, has touched a lot of different projects at Blizzard, and many other names over on the Moonshot team. So this is where Browder ended up.
Yeah.
That's insane. This is crazy. Like,
I hope it's an RTS.
Okay.
Just throw it out.
Kyle, I'm not a betting man, but I would bet an amount of money you would be comfortable with that it is not going to be an RTS.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, could you think of a less relevant genre?
Aww.
I'm being honest. I'm being brutally honest.
No, you're right. You're right.
Being brutally honest. That is a game type that just doesn't seem to have legs at the moment. I think an RTS and I think an MMO would be horrendous decisions.
Yeah, business decisions, but
yeah,
that's what I want.
yeah, but it's just nuts. It's nuts. And then Chris Siggety, who like led up StarCraft 2 for a long time, is over on the other team, Secret Door, alongside a bunch of other crazy Blizzard veterans. It's nuts, man. A lot of the names I didn't recognize, I looked up and they were like technical artists on Heroes of the Storm. So there's just a lot of great talent over here. And I was making this joke on Angry Chicken. I'll make it here. I just hope it doesn't end up like Bonfire, where it's just like Bonfire was announced, I think, in 2016. We still haven't heard jack.
Isn't Ben Brode working on like a Marvel game?
That's over at Second Dinner. They did announce that they're working on a mobile Marvel game.
Right.
And
time.
That is the group of people over at Secret Door, which are mostly comprised of original Team 5, which is the Hearthstone team members. That's the only group of people on Earth where the phrase mobile Marvel game could be uttered, and I would be anything other than glazed over in a coma with boredom.
Sure.
But because they're doing it, I'm like, all right, I'm going to check this game out when it releases because they made an amazing freaking game in Hearthstone. But this, I mean, what's going on over at Dreamhaven with Morhaime, like, it's nutty, man. Like, folks were stoked yesterday. I'm trying. If you can't tell, I'm trying very hard not to get swept away in the hype. But I kind of want to get swept away in the hype just a little bit. Just for a second, man.
There's too much waiting.
Just for a second.
I can't open that box of hype yet. It's too distant, too far off. I've got Cyberpunk to worry about right now. This whole
what a shame you have Cyberpunk. Oh God, what a horrible world we live in where we need to get through Cyberpunk.
I know it's gonna be hard work, man. You gotta schedule, you gotta coordinate. You know, these things, you got to make sure you're still good enough at Heroes of the Storm while you're playing Cyberpunk. These things happen.
Yeah. So, what do you think of all this? Because like, there's a lot of flowery language on the site and in the surrounding interviews about wanting this studio to be like a good example for the industry as a whole, which seems to be targeting headlines surrounding Blizzard over the past couple of years. It's hard not to make that association.
Sure.
At the same time, Morheim's footing the bill.
Well,
they're not taking investors at the moment, it seems like.
But that's also age, you know, like that, to get right down to it, like you have a lot of passionate young people who work in video games and they give it their crazy all. And as the industries develop, we've learned that taking advantage of that passion isn't the right thing to do. There's burnout. There's a tax on that sort of passion. And I certainly don't blame the older guys from Blizzard being like, can we do this without those trappings? Could I see my family on the weekend? Just not sleep under my desk? Would that be okay? And they basically pulled everyone together who says, yes, that's a wonderful idea. Let's make hot dogs.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like, it's if you've followed Blizzard for any amount of time, this is an exciting group of talented individuals.
Yeah.
So, and that's just kind of how I'm feeling. But at the same time, like, when I think about it in the light of Heroes of the Storm or the other game that I spent a lot of time covering, Hearthstone, like, I'm excited about this, but at the same time, I'm just like, well, the games that I'm currently covering that Blizzard makes, like, they're freaking good. And I really like the people on the teams that make it. Like, if we're going to talk about like the cult of personality that is this announcement that makes people so excited, man, like the current Hearthstone team is full of amazing people, and so is the current Heroes of the Storm team. I mean, just go back 2 episodes, listen to Kinnebrew, talk about what it's like making art on the team. Listen to our episodes with AZ Jackson, like the Heroes team. Man, I love everyone over there that we've talked to. They're just the nicest, most passionate folk.
No, I don't think that's not being put on trial here. And if the higher ups, the old guard, is out to do their own thing, that means there's room for momentum in Blizzard, and things can change hands again and have new passionate people who hopefully won't be exploited for that passion rise up and take those positions. So I think this is good for both sides. You can't change. People have been with the company that long. They need a change. They're ingrained in the system, and breaking their own system is going to allow them to be free and make a thing like Dreamhaven. At the same time, you get to have that escalation of people who are now free to do what they want to do with the game. And I think we've seen a really, really good switch over with the loss of Browder. I think he made a very passionate game. I think he had a vision that was quick match, right? He wanted to make this very free-flowing kind of game where Illidan could become a tank and be the assassin if you needed to. And it was all about dealing with these random elements. And frankly, it was a really, really good time. It was a very different sort of time. Talents, I think, mattered more. But we eventually, as we do with all things, optimized. We figured out that Illidan still playing like an assassin, but taking first aid and everything else made him better. It's that whole World of Warcraft problem with, the days of Thoughtbot. Like, you cut out the information, you got a free-flowing, living, breathing world, as I always hate that phrase, but you can have an ecosystem where there's a lot more creativity.
Yeah.
But the second we start to take player feedback, which is important, figure out what's optimized, which is important for winning, that goes away. And I don't think Dustin, I can't speak for the guy, but the feeling I got was that was not the game that Dustin Browder wanted to make. he wasn't extremely interested in the drafting, what the pros wanted. So he left. And there was a turmoil time where things were dictated by the pros. And now we find ourselves taken on by this new group, regime, whatever you want to call it. And they have elevated the home game. And I love them for it.
Yeah, that's why we're still, because dude, when HGC ended, we were very concerned. You and I had multiple meetings of like, crap, like what's the next game? Because clearly this is over. And here we are multiple years later, still doing the show because it is so interesting. It's so unique. It's so unique in the MOBA space because every other MOBA is dictated by its competitive scene. And Heroes of the Storm now isn't. And it's always something that I, as a player, have struggled with because I don't really care. I'm annoyed when balance changes are made as a result of the competitive scene because that's not the level I'm playing at. Even if I was playing at that level, I'm usually not playing in a coordinated environment. And so all of the changes that happen around that is hard to get excited about. And so it's really unique to be playing this MOBA and have it be updated solely around the game at home.
There was an interesting article on Destructoid this last week that basically gave a summary of everything that's been happening in Heroes of the Storm. And it did mention the interview with Brew, and they said Brew brought into the Nexus the idea, and I'm like, maybe, it was the show after all. That was nice. Thank you, Destructoid. But the comments below are like, oh, then what? Heroes? I thought no one was doing that anymore. Did I quit something that's great? I've been off here playing, oh man, there's a lot of great games to play right now, but you know what I mean.
This is news to me, man. I did not realize we ended up on Destructoid.
We didn't, but the phrase into the Nexus was used uncapitalized to describe the Brew interview.
Also, all right, I'm looking at it right now. Brew is bringing up Blackthorn again. Brew, you're doing a great job. Your campaign strategy is strong.
I like it.
That's great. That is just the best.
Hey, you want to talk about something else really weird?
BlizzCon?
The BlizzCon line.
But yeah, so BlizzCon line just sounds like the thing I don't want to wait in merch for. That's what that sounds like. Listen, I am a sucker for really basic, clean, modern logos where you just mess with font weight and call it done. Yeah. And so, therefore, I kind of dig this logo. But also, BlizzCon line just sounds dumb. This is not a great name.
It's like when you name, if we were to name this show like Heroes Pod, or there's got to be a better. It's sitting right there.
It'd be like if you named your hero statistics website Hotslogs, and then someone else took ownership of that site and had the chance to change it but didn't.
Maybe that seems personal, huh?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about, Kyle. Hotslogs.com. Go there.
The Avengers theme plays. Someone has the words BlizzCon and online, and they slowly push them together, and light radiates, and it merges into one beautiful picture. You can't deny them that this is a great name on paper, but I never want to say it aloud.
No, it works well as a visual. It does not work well as something you read aloud. So I've just been saying BlizzCon online. So yeah, it's happening. Like they said it was going to be happening in early 2021, and they're following through with that because BlizzCon Online has been announced for February 19th through the 20th. They are sticking to their 2-day event, and the official announcement is really only for the community contests. So if you're interested in cosplay or the talent contest or the art contest, any of those sorts of things, that's what is getting set in stone here, that it's happening. Here's the rules. Here's how you register. There's no other news, but it also makes sense, right? Because, dude, like, how many times have we been on the last episode of Into the Nexus before Heroes of the Storm, before BlizzCon, and we're like,
the game that matters. Yeah, I know, I get you.
Hey, Blizzard, where's your schedule for BlizzCon? Because we would like to know what's going on, what to expect, and also we'd like some free, easy content while we muse about what these panels are actually going to be about. So it doesn't make it makes total sense that there's not much to this announcement outside of the contest, but we now know it's happening. And so to that, Kyle, I ask you, what do you want to see from Heroes on the BlizzCon Online?
Well, we got a hero. We got a hero to go. They've said as much. I mean, this has been the year of reworks, and I do not want to dismiss that, particularly when we look at those pick rates and heroes becoming more popular than they ever were before. There's certainly, I'm sure, a lot of rework heroes on that docket as well. But nothing quite brings people into the game, and nothing's quite as exciting as that new hero, and I would love to see that just be on the main screen, I guess, this time. I want it loud and proud, and everybody to have to see that Heroes gets a new hero in front of their eyeballs with the, whatever kind of thing you can do to it. I love the behind the scenes kind of breakdowns that they do with the art or going into the technical side of things. It'd be fun to see a retrospective on how this game is built and optimized over the years. But I want that new hero.
Who do you think would be a BlizzCon worthy hero? Because we talk about that, right? About heroes, like if it's announced at a BlizzCon, it has to carry a certain weight. It has to have a certain celebrity to it. Deathwing was huge. Pun intended, I guess. Literally and figuratively speaking. I guess the Alex Straza Hanzo one is the one that strikes me as not a huge deal. But like Ragnaros was big. Cho'Gall was absurd. Right. We were sitting there scratching our heads, pun intended, going, how the hell does Cho'Gall work?
Well, that's also like overworked Heroes team time period. So it's a little weird in my memory because it was like, here's Cho'Gall punching himself in the face. And by the way, Tracer, Greymane, Lunara, then just like bam, 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 just like calm down. Oh my God, that's so much. And they wasn't that also the Li Ming year, if I'm thinking correctly? Like a couple of BlizzCons were just like 5 heroes listed. Tracer was like a PNG image.
I feel like Li Ming wasn't a BlizzCon announcement. I think Li Ming just got added. But I could be wrong.
Right. Could be wrong.
Yeah. But
I'd say of all of them, the Varian cinematic into Ragnaros was just awesome.
Oh, like so that's good. And like if you're a fan of both WoW and Heroes, like I was, and I think you were even playing at the time, like we had just gone through Varian's death in the game of World of Warcraft, and then we get this like weirdly emotional tribute to the character in this hero announcement at BlizzCon. And that was really freaking well done. But I don't know. As stoked as I am for things like Brew's pitch for Blackthorn and what, I mean, Blackthorn would be kind of cool because it's so old school, right? It's like a deep cut if you're a Blizzard fan. I could see that actually working.
I've got a burden of riches. I got my Mal'Ganis, even if I shouldn't be allowed to play him when I get to Diamond 1. But yeah, I've gotten my list. I of course would love, for my own personal reasons, to see a more Warcraft 3 Kel'Thuzad, but what they did made an extremely unique hero that I don't want to play. But there's also these mystery heroes like Yrel. What? I don't see myself being a Yrel fan, but that was an awesome kit that I love so much. May is certainly not high on my list, but I'm really enjoying her and practicing her. So sometimes it just shocks you with Stukov, another background character that I ended up loving. I have no idea what I'd want.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the dark as well, and I don't like. I still want just base units. Like I still want like a Muta hero or like a Warcraft Knoll hero. I mean, call it Hogger if you want to give it a name. Like those are the kind of things that would make me weirdly excited, but I don't think would cut it. I don't think it's hype enough. So I'm not too sure outside of them finding a way to make a core replacement hero work.
And I have no doubt that a lot of our ideas and requests in that department would be, I want that. So it's the Overmind. So I get deep, under deep cultist Orphea.
I I mean, you could just ask for that skin.
I know, but it'd be really cool as part of like a Cthulhu event. We got the Overmind, or we got Cthulhu, or whoever ends up being that.
Yaxaron.
And then we just dress up Orphea, and I mean, Whitemane would look awesome in that sort of style too. Alarak was one that was really cool. He's too cool even. I'm gonna go that far. He is way too cool. Like having your team colors be black and red. It's just too awesome of a combo. You got to pick something else.
But
That is those colors actually.
Raphael and Vegeta like combined. It's just too much.
You can't give it all. There's a lot of anime examples. I won't go there. But like the servant of what's the Alarak skin where he's got squid face? It's got a great name to it too. I'm completely spacing.
I am forgetting as well. Maybe someone in chat will remember. I'm terrible with skin names.
Servant of something or other. Man, it's great. It's a great skin. Highly playable.
I would assume N'Zoth because it's squiddy, but
N'Zoth. There we go.
Is it Herald of N'Zoth? Herald of
N'Zoth.
Okay. Gotcha.
But by the way, Brew. Oh my gosh, I forgot to list that one for him when I was saying highly playable. That's another one for you. Changes the game.
I mean, Alarak is pretty cool without it, but
he's great. Yeah, no, sure, he's cool.
Yeah, it's not like May. I needed that Death Knight skin. I really did. Alarak, I can deal. Protoss are cool enough in their own right. Though, I think Draenei Protoss are super. I bought that Artanis skin, man. I kind of want to play some Artanis now.
Oh, he's still good. People really value him on Battlefield Eternity. I'm not the biggest fan in the world.
I have so many. No, sorry. I was thinking Infernal Shrines. I was like, I have so many Shrines picks, man. But never mind. You were talking Battlefield.
And I think it speaks to kind of the place we're in with heroes right now. Usually when we bring up any BlizzCon hero, the chat just flows with ideas of what they want. And it's a little tame. Like the people still want, Saurfang and of course these big, old god heroes we've talked about just to represent. But I think Deathwing gave us that dragon we needed. Yeah. And now we're not really sure where to go.
I would really like a proper undead from World of Warcraft or a proper Tauren from Warcraft. Because like ETC's cool, but I want like a totem swinging, like the freaking tree post totem Tauren.
Sure.
Or a proper hunched over undead, I don't know, make it whatever named character you want to make it, but I think that'd be sweet. Problem is, I guess most of the famous ones are rogues, and we've already got Valera, so maybe I just want an undead Valera skin. But yeah, Dorivo says Naga, any Naga. Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. I think the correct answer of things that would make sense is like a Lady Vosh or what's her name? Oh my God, I'm blanking. Ajara.
Sure.
Either of those that'd be the kind of thing that would, if BlizzCon was in person, would elicit a lot of cheers.
Lilith would be cool too.
Oh, I think you may have just landed on something there, buddy.
You got to walk out there as the dude. You spend the whole early game like farming stacks of minions. Then you get 4 minions, line them up, and make a big blanket out of them. And then level 10, you summon the demon.
That'd be sick. Totally
but of
sick.
course, here I am saying, hey, give me a level 10 that completely changes my character. Like I thought of that forever ago with Jaraxxus, right? You play as a gnome for the first half of the game, and then you get to play as Jaraxxus.
Oh yeah, freaking.
But I'm also the one who's trying desperately to master a Diablo APOC combo in game versus real people, because you don't get to play until level 10. And actually, the level 20 Hellgate combo is way easier. So on burden of execution, probably not the right idea to make me play some other hero for the first couple minutes and then change my character out.
Yeah. You mentioned Jaraxxus again, man. That's a total BlizzCon hero, right? Like it's all this hype and this build up. Imagine the trailer, Kyle. Go on this journey with me. And it's like, oh my God, what is this hero they're about to announce? And this little dorky warlock gnome walks out and you're like, what? And then portal opens and he explodes and Jaraxxus comes out.
Yeah, and do like a voice pack for it that's Millhouse for some reason. I don't know, that doesn't work with the lore, but then people can have that
Yeah,
they're
Millhouse is a
requesting for a
mage.
while.
I'm forgetting the name of the gnome that is the one that summons Jiraxis. I know he says like Master Summoner, but I can't remember what his damn name is.
Stuff.
But yeah. So there's still some stuff. There's some places to be tapped, I think, still. Wilfred Fizzlebank, thank you so much, Kalis.
Wilfred Fizzlebang.
Yeah. Master
How could we
Summoner. Can we just
honestly,
sorry, go ahead.
When I'm looking, if we're talking like roster right now, I think Tank is pretty healthy. I think we have a lot of diverse options that do very different things, but are still draftable, and we have a decent early pick to late pick structure. I think we need a sustain assassin.
I was going to say support or healer.
Interesting.
I keep saying support because that's what it used to be called.
That is their fault. Dude, you're not. Yeah. Oh, Blizzard. I'm mad at the team for one thing, and that's support. Do you guys know how many voiceovers for videos have had to be re-recorded because I say support instead of healer? Too many. I am furious. And what you got like 3 heroes on that list now.
Dude, I still call the mercs knights. I don't call them bruisers. Get the knight camp. No one knows that anymore. That was so early alpha. I just sound like I am the okay grandma meme that's going around right now. That's me. These used to be called knights. That's nice, grandma. Let's get you to bed.
Is that a new one? Huh?
Oh, if you're not seeing the "Let's get you to bed" grandma memes, then what are you doing with your life, man? They're actually hilarious.
No. I'm still everything I see is still what DiCaprio, looking shocked.
Oh, holding the drink and laughing.
Yeah, I'm a couple weeks behind. You'll have to excuse me.
That's all right. That's all right. Oh, dude, did you see the Dustin Browder gif someone made with the Dreamhaven announcement?
No.
Do you remember the gif that went around years ago and it was him reacting to HGC, like completely losing his mind in the crowd?
Oh, yeah.
So someone set that to 3 different headlines. One was like Mike Morhaime leaving Blizzard, and it cuts back to Dustin Browder like throwing his arms in the air and looking shocked. And then it cuts to a headline of Mike Morhaime founds Dreamhaven, and it cuts back to Browder getting really excited. And then it cuts to an article saying that Dustin Browder is one of the like founding members of this company, and it goes back and he is completely losing his shit. It's wonderful.
Oh, perfect. It's our
so
version
well done.
of that WWE meme where Vince McMahon, right, is losing in the chair. Yeah.
It's so perfect. I'll try and dig it up and add it in the show notes for everybody if you missed it. I don't have it handy chat room. I'm sorry. Maybe if anyone else in there can find it, let me know. Highly
usable meme right there.
Yeah. It's
highly draftable meme.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So, anyways, same stuff. Bring on BlizzCon. Like to see what they're gonna have to do, but let's move on, Kyle, and judge someone else's tier list.
Yeah, we have no stake in this game. We're gonna critique what you've done.
We did our own not that long ago.
That's true. We exposed our opinions.
I mean, really, because this is Grubby's tier list, this is us saying here is whether it's right or not opinions you will have to contend with from here on out. Grubby recently updated his tier list as of September 15th. So what are we thinking about this, man? What are we thinking? Top tier. I actually kind of dig that his doesn't have a lot of levels, so it's a little more generalized.
When it goes from first pick, first ban to powerful, viable, which is a very kind way of saying okay, and not optimal, which is another nice way of saying bad. So I appreciate the approach to this tier list, and I certainly agree with the burden of execution when we come to the bottom tier, because they're not bad, they're just not optimal.
Yeah. Except Stitches.
That crusade might have gone too far.
Why?
I'm just saying, like, it's the low leagues need lane clear too, Garrett, is what I'm saying. And when you snap pick a Vala and an Alarak and your solo lane is Imperious, And then they grab a Lily. They've got very limited choices to save that draft. And one is Johanna, who's going to spend the entire game soaking because everyone there can't. And the other choice is Stitches. So what we need to do is find a system where we can critique Stitches for being a butt and not playing a tank role, not lane clearing, going for those big money hooks and gorges. Instead, we can encourage people to say, use gorge as a peel. Peel the Kerrigan that's maelstroming. Peel the Illidan that's jumping all over you. Bile would be preferred here. And you now have the baked-in ability to help clear a lane. So please do that job and help out your fellow bronzers.
Can I tease you in a meta podcast way?
This is okay.
All right, I'm going to tease you now, Kyle. I'm sorry. Okay, here it comes. So that was meant as a joke, and I knew we were going to be talking about Stitches in an email that you picked. So I was just doing a little prodding before we get to emails later.
You're setting up the email for later, making sure it's nice and dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was doing. Actually, I have a Stitches anecdote to share with that email, but yeah. So, so I guess really my first question to you is when we're looking at what I'm sure will be an extremely, if not already, popular tier list because it's from Grubby. Is there anything glaring in the lowest end that you're like, I don't know if that belongs there? Because my first thought is Kira. I feel like Kira's a little low.
Kira to me is exclusively a Rexar solo lane counter, and it would have likely been better to ban Rexar instead and not have to do a Kira. So when we're talking about not optimal, I think that's fair because she can be denied the space she needs and can get stuck on just attacking a tank in a team fight.
Gotcha. And then the other one is like, so Grubby specifies at the top of this that this is for solo queuing.
Right.
Is Cho'Gall good enough that you would give it a pass, even if you were solo queuing? Do you think Cho'Gall is so good that you would maybe bump him up one and say, yeah, you know what, if you really do want to go on a crusade and try and convince a stranger to be the Gall to your Cho or vice versa?
Well, that's the danger, right? That's where we would cross the line. And we haven't crossed it yet. Gall, in particular Gall, which is funny because, you know, these swap back and forth. But Gall has the highest win rate of any character in the game right now. And it is based on that leaden ore business. It does take some coordination, though. And we have not had an outbreak of Cho'Galls to such a degree that he is being solo picked. So for now, I agree it is not a good solo pick.
Okay, cool. I personally would not want to play Cho'Gall with a stranger. So I tend to agree with you, but I think it's an interesting conversation to work through.
It's a danger on the horizon for sure. Like that would be our big like summit meeting where we would say, what is a danger to Heroes of the Storm? Solo picking Cho'Gall. When that becomes an issue, we need to have an action ready for it.
Yeah. Summit meeting. Oh man, give me flashbacks. That feels like another lifetime.
No, it does. It does. Yeah. Many ways it was. There are heroes on this bottom list that I think are just so perfect for not optimal, like Artanis. He does things really, really well. But couldn't you do that with someone else? Couldn't you do that with a character that can also lane clear? That's the weird thing about Amateur Opponent and why we still take it on Battlefield of Eternity is it gives him camps. It gives him objective clear, but he still is dueling in lane. And unless mistakes are made by the enemy side, you're not going to capitalize on that. And that's why I think Diablo is in top tier, because Diablo struggles when there aren't enough mistakes. So when we think about this sort of tier list from someone like Grubby, we need to think that Kel'Thuzad, who can absolutely wreck face, is only inviolable rather than powerful because he's about punishing people for making mistakes. And some mistakes are unavoidable, like in Li Ming, who is in the top tier, throwing an orb over terrain and it smacks you in the face. You didn't know. maybe there should have been a broccoli in front of you. That's a mistake. No, that's counterplay.
It's a I'm glad you mentioned Li Ming, Kyle, because I think I'm getting to the breaking point on Triumvirate.
As in, you can't handle it anymore.
I'm a little over it.
Yeah.
I think I've reached the point. I think it's been a while since there's been like one hero that is kind of the target of my ire, and I think Li Ming is reaching that point.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating, like a lot of abilities are. You know, like ETC's Amp Encore. When people are walking into it, you're getting more mosh pits, and when you're in an environment where you can just land mosh pits pretty freely, it's an amazing talent.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that also just needs to be just undone. Just undo that one, please. Control Z that change. My goodness.
Says the man who's playing Murden right now.
Okay, dude, like 4 exploratory games in 1 week does not a Murden player make.
No. But I'm just joking, because Murden does have the original version of this on his kit with Reverberation at level 4, which gives you each enemy hero hit reduces the cooldown of heroic ability by 5%.
Yeah. Also, I missed the part where Murden can just be stormbolting up to the entire enemy team for multiple seconds on end.
Well, that's called Rewind.
So up to 4 if they're lined up really nicely.
Yeah, exactly.
For a shorter window.
But that Triumvirate is an interesting comment. I agree with you. In like a World of Warcraft world, I would love it if Triumvirate didn't trigger on tanks, so that when the orb comes flying and I go, I've got your squishies, and I catch that, Li Ming's like, thanks, and just starts lobbing more.
I wish it just wasn't of her 2 freaking missile abilities. I wish it wasn't on the one that's really easy to land. That's just where I'm just kind of a little over it. And I love playing Li Ming. Like if you told me, hey Garrett, you can go play Li Ming for a month, I'd be stoked. But yeah, just seeing it's another one I've been running into a lot in draft, and just like, freaking orb resets. I'm so done with this. All good for you. You hid behind the wall and threw it blindly, and it's a giant ability, so of course it landed.
Yeah, the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
That's a really good way to put it. So sorry, that was just a little side.
And the court system is broken, because if you were to attempt to inform your fellow jurors why they died, everyone in the courtroom will become tilted and run around in circles. Because it is, you got to be like, it's Triumvirate. You got to be careful out there. You can't go being hit by that. What are you talking about? I can be hit by anything I want. It wasn't worth it.
And there's parry, and if it's paired with anything, what are you gonna do? You're stunned.
Yeah.
Get out of the way of the biggest ability in the game after you're done being stunned. Oh, okay, great. Thanks for the advice. I'll do exactly that. But
well, maybe that, maybe like quests. Like we had quests. They went nuts. Quests were everywhere. Then we made Kel'Thuzad, and we were still in the quest heavy time, but I feel like we went, that's special. That's special for Butcher. I disagree, but Butcher, Alarak, Kel'Thuzad, big ones in my mind. Of course, you got Hanzo and Chromie and all these other quest heroes, but the ones that are defined by questing. Maybe we've experimented with this cooldown reduction idea, and we make a hero and call it good. And that hero is Li Ming. And maybe she deserves it. And that's her thing, is if she hits things, and I guess Mephisto's kind of like that, but it's a little different because it's just what he does. But it's not as crazy.
So if Zul'jin is hard Rainer, then Mephisto is hard Li Ming. Is that what you are putting out into the world?
It's not a bad thought. It's not bad. I mean, there's also an issue with Li Ming that might be not being accounted for in our brains when we think of Triumvirate right now, and that is that Ether Walker, or I believe they say Ether in World of Warcraft, so we'll go with Ether, but Ether or whatever have you, is very popular right now. And that allows Li Ming to teleport more often, therefore adjust her positioning more often to maintain triumvirates.
Right. Which is like, I'm not saying it's not fun to play. It's just not fun to play against.
So maybe we have to fix that avenue so that when you triumvirate, you have to actually take your feet back up and then throw the orb and then be like, oh, hit, I got to do this again rather than teleporting backwards.
Oh, that's an interesting thought is make them, you have to choose one or the other, like put it on the same talent tier. Yeah, I like that. So, other than that, I don't know about, I'm going to defer to you, dude, because honestly, I rather like Grubby's list. There's not a lot of other things on here that I just go, I don't know about that. Like Kira's the big one.
I think I would love for not optimal to become optimal. I think that Dahaka is still all right, very stun dependent, and that is a committed play style. Why work so hard? Same with Artanis, Nazebo, Illidan, Valera. Absolutely can get wrecked. Probius mains, they're around. These are all great things, but I think it's a great list in that way. I'm, of course, sad that Mal'Ganis is down and viable rather than powerful, but that's just personal. I think Imperious is not as good as he was without Flash of Anger at the level that it was rocking at, but sure, why not? The bizarre thing about this list is you can easily make a team that I mentioned earlier that would lose in bronze. And I'll just go like in order here, making a team. Ana, maybe ETC, but let's do Ana, Garrosh, Imperious, Tracer, and Li Ming. That's in first pick, first ban. That's that's the most powerful team we can make. But whew, would that suck?
Honestly, I think if you just replace Diana with something that isn't a skill-based heal, I think you're all right. I think that might actually kind of work.
We got a lot of burden there with Ana aiming and Imperious aiming and everyone having to aim everything they do, but mostly it's that they can't land clear. So we have to like go into our other, and that's what I'd warn other people looking at this list. We have to go into our other categories in order to make sure you don't get completely zoned out of your game. Otherwise, that's just how people might interpret. Gul'dan, I think Gul'dan is really, really cool right now. Now that he has some really viable drain life talents, and people by playing that build have learned how to stand their ground, heal through something, and make the positioning the enemy's problem. Or your team has to adjust and play around Gul'dan. But Gul'dan is more viable than he was in terms of playstyle.
I agree with you, but Gul'dan is one of the main offenders I've seen in the last 2 weeks of not knowing what comps you can get away with your playstyle. Because I've seen a lot of Gul'dans just stand and drain and then just get completely womboed into non-existence.
Right, and that's maybe the tank's fault in their mind, and it could be like Diablo would have to hold on to cooldowns. He's a little better at that since we're doing auto attack build and he has diabolic momentum, but Mei is one that I would not want to run alongside a Gul'dan because I'm going to actually I've won a game today with that same combo, so not a huge deal, but I can't zone for you very efficiently. I'd rather be ETC, maybe even Muradin, who can adjust to your bad position that is now broke out as possibly a bait position.
Okay. Well, cool. So, like, I would recommend this list overall. Like, if you just kind of want a cheat sheet, look at it, kind of get inspired. I dig this list quite a bit. So, would recommend. Yeah. It's in our notes. It's not hard to find.
I don't know about Deckard. That's about the only one in the top tier outside of Imperious that maybe needs an in between. I think we will recover. We will recover, though.
I really like having a Deckard on my team. I really, really do, and I really hate fighting against a Deckard.
Yeah, I think that once we've had more time to get away from Ruby, we're going to be okay. But right now, I see a lot of big Rubies cast outside of viable range. Like, hey, here you go. The entire backline's full of rubies. And I'm like, I'm not going back there. I can't get to those rubies, man.
But also, like, I mean, we talk about, like, who is the hard version of an easy character, right? Like, I think Deckard is in a way the easy version of Ana at a base level, at a base kit level. Because it's like, well, you should be throwing your heals towards the people you're trying to heal. But if you miss, it's not wasted. It's there on the ground. They just need to move over and pick it up. Like, so I really like Deckard. I'd keep Deckard where he is, personally. I'd go to bat for Deckard.
Maybe it's a guilt thing. Like, Anduin looks so effortless. He's like, heal. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Anduin. That cost you nothing. I appreciate it. But Deckard, when I'm low on tank, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so thirsty. Oh, I need all these. No, and you're like body blocking. You're assassin out of the way, and you're like, please, for the love of God, I'm so thirsty.
Yeah. So, but it's a solid list. Check it out. You want to wrap this up with an email about Stitches?
Let's do that.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the moment, it's a hero brawler!
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, you can drop us a message right in the Discord. You can skip the inbox entirely. Heck, if we're hanging around, we might just start chatting right then and there. Feel free to tag us, by the way. You know, not always looking. It's fine. If I can chat, I can chat. Anyways, Nell Dog writes in and says, we share a mutual disdain for Stitches and Gorge. Stitches' Gorge encourages him to stay behind the back line and hope to get a sweet hook / Gorge and take the enemy behind the wall / fort to secure the kill. What if instead of Gorge eating the target for 4 seconds, the Gorge targets was simply belched out after half a second directly behind Stitches, about 3 to 4 units back? It could also slow the. That's a lot of units back.
The implication, I don't want to think about it.
If it's on a longer cooldown,
I mean, I guess we're okay with Yoshi.
That's what Garrosh is doing.
Yeah, I guess Yoshi
on a base
eats
ability.
Egg, it poops out the butt and it's in an egg, but it's still. I would rather be disgorged through the front of Stitches, please.
No, I'm for it. Go just full gross factor. Let's do it.
Okay.
Anyway, Nell Dog continues. It could even slow the target. This would encourage more frontline tanking for Stitches while giving him some displacement a la Muradin's Haymaker or Garrosh's Wrecking Ball. He currently has the lowest win rate for tanks post-patch, according to HOTS logs. Do you feel this is a viable solution? I think it's a potential solution. I guess I'd put it that way. This is kind of interesting. And the direction is important, right? Because if you're running back, say they change it to do it this way, and you don't get your timing right, and you turn around to run back, you're going to be shooting them in the direction they want to go. So it would encourage you to continue facing the enemy team. I think you're muted.
Good point.
The muting or the directional?
Both. That's an interesting snowball you pose, because basically by making it directional, Stitches wants to turn around. Turning around takes time.
Mm-hmm.
If you are stunned, you're still facing forward. If you get locked down and everyone's like, save the person in Stitches, and we all CC him, they pop out no problem. So your first thing when you get a Gorge is you want to turn around if you're going to get CC'd. So you're creating body block. So maybe he's right. Like the very nature of the ability has caused us to turn around early just in case. And then while you're turned around, you might as well start walking the other direction.
I think Nell Dog's really onto something here. I'm not sure about how far back you're shooting the target here. Like 4 units is a lot, but if it's, I mean, Gorge is on a long cooldown compared to something like Garrosh's Toss, and you could compare this in a way because it's displacement over a tank hero, right? But this time we're talking about a heroic here. We're not talking about something that's part of a base kit with regular availability on cooldown. It's
interesting.
It is interesting, and I played against a good Stitches this week, and it's to me reminded me like that it's kind of a style thing. It's a style of play. Like you can't stand bush Alarax, right? That's like the thing that just drives you crazy. Alarax just sit on a mount in a bush, and that's the one thing they do, and they go for their combo, and they don't make it, so they mount up, they go back to the bush, and they wait for their cooldowns to come back up. Drives Kyle crazy, in case anyone wasn't here for the last time Kyle went on a rant about bush Alarax.
Please auto attack my lane, please. Thank you.
For the love of God.
And now I'm learning about how the tank should always be in the bush, so it's going to drive me extra nuts because I'm like, that's my bush.
But it's like a style thing, because the Stitches that actually stays in the front line, they're exceptionally survivable. They're so tanky, it's ridiculous. And Hook is such a good re-engage. Like, you get a good fight in, and they're about to get away and make it out with their lives. Stitches hooks, brings them back in. They're dead. That's awesome. And you're holding the front line the entire time. But so many Stitches just don't play that way. And I fought one that did. And damn it, dude. Like, it was effective. It was hard to play against. And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm of two minds. Because I don't want to get into the. You and I both are just so tired of the what this community needs is education. Like we don't want that. But I'm so over that line of thinking. Those headlines on the subreddit. Those emails being sent in. Like whatever. If you're interested, you're gonna seek it out, and if you're not, no amount of required education is going to help. But I'm also like kind of weirdly. I don't know. There's something about like going out of your way to change the way of an ability behaves to encourage correct play, but I don't know. I kind of dig this. I kind of dig what Neldog here is suggesting. But I think 4 units back is a little much.
Yeah. No, and I just don't want to think what gave the particular digestive process that momentum either. But it does fix a fundamental issue there. It gets me interested in a lot of other cool ideas. Like I would love a taunt of sorts. There are games like this, but I struggle to think of one at the moment where an ability makes you look a certain direction. And that would be a lot of fun.
You want Stitches to force people to face a direction?
Well, no, like counterplaying Stitches, not with a bunch of CC, but, eyes on me. Like you taunt in a sense, but they're forced to face their character a certain direction.
Oh, well, I mean, Varian's taunt and Garrosh's taunt work that way.
It does do that very thing, yes.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, I'm not sure how much you want to be. Garrosh works. And honestly, Taunt Varian, I'm always surprised when Taunt Varian works out. I'm like, oh, that's right. This sometimes just totally owns.
Yeah, and mind control is the exact same thing, unless someone has a reason it's not, but it's just a ranged taunt of a sort.
Yeah,
because they still want to hit you, right? Like they're not just walking towards you; they're angry at you.
Yeah. Corny in the chat room says, "Let's Stitches swing with his third arm." The problem with Stitches, he just doesn't attack fast enough. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, if we still had like crazy production, crazy brawls, I would love kit changes and put Kira's kit on Stitches just so I can see that big man swing around.
Oh my god!
Just hook hits you and then just around you in a circle.
Nimble Stitches would be the most hilarious thing in a game. That would be so good. How does your brain work? What made you think of that?
Chen gets busy. He's hauling Bud jumping around all the time. It's not exclusive to the small characters.
But that's like Panda monks in World of Warcraft. Like if you've ever played one, like that's really how they function. They're very light on their feet for being, round boys.
But as I've mentioned earlier, my big curiosity about Stitches right now is the lane clear. We're currently sitting at 60% increased damage to minions and mercenaries, not monsters, which Johanna's is at, I believe, 200%. Now, I'm not sure of the damage numbers, if those kind of equal out similar throughputs, because Condemn probably doesn't do as much damage as Slam.
Yeah,
but I think that's a really cool way.
Yeah, we just need to encourage the Stitches to stay in front, I think is the thing. And that's where Neldog's brain's at. I think that's where my brain's at, especially after going against the Stitches that stayed in front this week. It was like, ooh, I have to work with this.
There was a time where I mained Stitches very, very briefly after Mal'Ganis release. Because everybody was playing Mal'Ganis. He wants to sleep. Yeah, he sleeps, he flies away in a straight line, hook him back, he was dead. And it was a delightful good time. I want to run Stitches on Braxis because I think it's an absolute hilarious thing to do. The lane is so small, the tower's right there, you get a hook, you're going to get tower shots. Plus, everyone wars you on the pad, you're doing your eating thing and keeping your health real high, and then they have to run away and you just drag them on back. I don't think fixing Gorge is the answer, though. If learn to play, player education, what that momentum gives and how we've been rewarded in our brains to play Stitches wrong is very true. But I would much rather see him encouraged further in that lane clear aspect.
Fair. Well, I still like your idea, Neldog, and keep writing in, folks. I find these types of theory crafting of how to adjust heroes interesting. So
yeah.
Yeah, thanks for it. itncast@gmail.com. Again, if you're a patron, you can drop this question right there in the patron Discord. And I think it's going to bring us to the end of this episode, Kyle. Speaking of the patron Discord, thank you again to our patrons for the support. Check it out over at patreon.com/ITN. We really appreciate the support, everybody. It means a lot. And thank you to our Patreon producers, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Chris K, Mike C, and Sean B. You can catch the show live Thursdays at 5 p.m. No, we changed it. We usually do 3. Today we started a little late because we felt like playing a game before the show.
We played the video game, Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
Who can blame us?
Twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Give it a follow. It'll let you know when we're live. Or follow us on Twitter at ITNcast because we also tweet when we're going live. But before we go, Kyle, you do all sorts of other stuff. If people want to see you playing Heroes of the Storm, learning, being humbled, where can they find you?
Being tragically humbled over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. Please join me. It is going to be a raucous, crazy time while we figure out this brand new team and how we're going to function in the world of NGS. Those usually happen at 5:30 Pacific time over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. Of course, check out kyleferguson.com for everything I do and links to it. I encourage you to check out the newest episode of DMGI. The DM Gives Inspiration, Learn to Play 5th Edition Dungeons & Dragons podcast. I just had my first mailbag of Season 6 and went over types of DMs as well as other questions, but it's a good portfolio of what the show can look like with various questions in it. So check it out.
Yeah, I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You can go to amove.tv for this podcast and every other single one that I produce. Just put out a new Angry Chicken yesterday. Talked quite a bit about the Dreamhaven stuff because the amount of Hearthstone developers that are over there is kind of insane.
Sure.
And I'd also like to promote, go over to youtube.com/AMoveTV because we're trying something new with the Angry Chicken where we're doing our biggest stories. It's like full-fledged edited YouTube videos. And I put a lot of work into this one, and I would just really like you to watch it. Please watch it. Please, please, please watch it. So go check that out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Good luck in your games this weekend. We will see you next Thursday for a new episode, and then see you next Thursday night for our Patron Bonanza. But until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.